Well, in Life Max, recall we have 8 levels of rank, and especially important to you would be the fact that rank determines how deeply you'll get paid in certain of our rank-driven compensation plan elements, notably the maximizer, our unilevel, and the business partnership bonus, which we'll discuss in greater detail. So at rank 1, of course, we know you are EAQ. You're enrolled, activated, and qualified. It brings you to rank level 1, which is the starting gate, the gates fling open to you to all the primary elements of the compensation plan. It's where you want to bring, at a very minimum, each and every one of your personally sponsored team members and those below them that you help mentor, teach, and train to do the same. Well, once you've reached EAQ, how do you rank advance to the rank of manager, to the third rank of director, and so forth and so on? Well, we do measure two primary elements. Number one, we look weekly, because we do measure and designate rank on a weekly basis, because we pay the primary bonus and commission elements of our compensation plan every single week. If we have rank-driven elements of the comp plan, we then have to measure, and we do pay those on a weekly basis, then we do have to measure what rank a distributor is each and every week to determine what level of commission or bonus within that commission element they are to be paid. So the first area that we look at is the number of personally sponsored legs or teams. Think of it as the number of personally sponsored distributors you have. In that depiction we saw, we had all those orange distributors on Generation 1 were personally sponsored. Each one of them represents a personally sponsored leg. All of their 8 generations below them, we are going to look at the number of personally sponsored teams or legs where there's an EAQ 360 or greater within that 8-generation leg. Now, we know what an EAQ is. That's a distributor who's enrolled, activated, and qualified. An EAQ 360 is simply an enrolled, activated, and qualified distributor who has at least 360 business volume points in his or her lesser team leg, in their binary. 360 BV in his or her lesser team leg in their binary in a given commission week or bonus period. The second thing that we measure, and we don't measure this until you are beginning to reach for rank level 4, executive director, is how much volume or BV resides that week in your lesser leg in your binary. So we look at the number of personal legs or teams you have, and where we might find at least one EAQ 360 or above, and when you reach for the higher ranks, we begin also to measure the lesser leg volume in your binary organization as well. Well, let's take a closer look at what this means. If you have sponsored, right here we have 8 distributors shoulder to shoulder. These are all first generation, personally sponsored by you. That means you have 8 personally sponsored legs. 5, 6, 7, 8 personally sponsored legs. These are the leaders of your 8 teams. What we're looking for is there a qualified distributor somewhere down below within the full 8 generations under each one of these teams, when you have at least one person who has at least 360 BV in their lesser leg over here in the binary in any given week on their lesser leg, then you get a check mark. We count that team. We measure to go from EAQ to manager. We are looking for 3 personally sponsored legs or teams where there's at least one EAQ 360. Well, one of the confusing things is we're measuring the lesser leg volume. We're talking about the binary volume. Everybody in the business who's planted in the binary also is planted in the unilevel. Everybody has a left team and a right team, and depending upon the volume of product consumed, purchased and sold by distributors, customers, and so forth on your left and right team legs, that will determine your greater leg, your lesser leg, your large leg, your smaller leg. And we're looking for at least 360 BV in any given week on the lesser leg of somebody down through the entire 8-generation organization, and we're going to count the number of legs in which we find at least one. Well, let's use an example that probably won't occur in real life, but for the sake of simple math, it will work for me. Let's say, for example, instead of these 8, you have sponsored 10 distributors. That would give you 10 personally sponsored legs. And let's assume for the sake of this hypothetical example that you do an excellent job and you teach each of those 10 to do the very same thing. And they each get 10. So if you have 10 on your first generation and they each get 10 distributors personally sponsored, then on generation 2 you have 100. And if each of those 100 distributors do the same, on generation 3, they'll have sponsored 10 each, 100 getting 10. On generation 3, you'd have 1,000. And if we go one generation deeper, just for the sake of this example, if all 1,000 distributors on your generation 3 each sponsor and personally enroll 10, you would have 10,000 on generation 4. So what the system is going to do each week, Saturday night at midnight, as it's going to search for the criteria, these rank qualification metrics, it's going to look through all 11,110 distributors. And if they're equally apportioned, as we've described in this example, it would be looking down through each leg at all 1,101 distributors, or is it 1,011? I'm not doing the math very well in my head right now, but it would look to see down through in excess of 1,000 distributors in each one of those legs, is there at least one distributor who's EAQ 360? And if that's the case, then we count that leg as being one of the requisite legs. To go from rank level 1 to rank level 2, we're looking for 3 of your 8 legs in this depiction, or your 10 legs, or whatever you have, in which there's at least one. The area of confusion can originate in that we're searching your family tree, your maximizer, your unilevel organization, for individuals residing in your 8 generations of your unilevel who have themselves lesser leg volume in their binary. So don't let that throw you. It's just a little bit confusing. But trust me, as you begin to really wrap your arms around it, it won't be confusing. So there'll be a quiz next week. Memorize this page, and we'll get back together again. Let me just explain. This page is downloadable from your business management system, your BMS Resource Center. It's also available in your support portal in the knowledge base. And this is sort of a one-page comp plan at a glance. And it describes, if you look here at the top, it has the ranks, EAQ through manager. It's ranks 1 through 8. It depicts the number of personally sponsored legs with an EAQ 360 and the number of those legs required to advance from rank manager, for example, to rank director, to rank executive director, and so forth. And the amount of lesser leg BV in your lesser leg. And as I said earlier, we don't begin to measure lesser leg BV until rank level 4, executive director. And that would be starting, let me see if I can get this thing to, there we go. 3,000 at level 4, 10,000 in level 5, a global director, and so forth and so on. And you can see that the business partnership bonus also is rank driven. I'm going to explain that in the next section a little bit more detail, but you can earn 10, 20, 25, 30, all the way up to 50% of a matching bonus, which is the business partnership bonus, on the group volume bonus paid to your personally sponsored distributors. I know I've said a mouthful. We'll come back and explore that in a little bit greater detail. But here's a visual depiction of the maximizer bonus. As I said, depending upon what rank level you've achieved, it determines how many generations deep. At rank level 3, for example, which is director, rank level 3, you're qualified to be paid down through 3 generations. At rank level 6, for example, at diamond director, rank level 6, qualified to be paid through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 generations, and so forth. That's really a simple one page at a glance. Let's take a few minutes now and get to the very last section of this little comp plan overview, and let's just peel apart each of the 8 revenue streams in just a little bit greater detail, and 2 little bonus elements that I hinted at earlier in our training, and how important that they're going to be to your growth and longevity in this business. So let's tackle the next section next.